He's in attendance. Everybody's in attendance as far as I know. And could I have approval of the June 15th meeting?
A motion to approve the June 15th meeting minutes.
It should be amended to include Alan. He's sort of an alternate for Don if he's not there, because he's not on the, as attending the,
We were at the last meeting, Alan?
yep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you amend the motion to include Alan? Bob?
Motion to include Alan as a,
Okay.
as a,
Can
Any
I have
second?
Alan's last name, please?
Ladd, L-A-D-D,
Thank you.
the assistant foreman.
Second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carried. Any public comments? Is Marilyn the only one on from the public? Yes, looks like.
So it appears.
Okay, no public comments. Bob, any updates or comments before we get into other reports?
I'll give you a couple updates. So at the last meeting, with the help of the Highway Department and DEP, we placed a lot more rocks that we were able to get from the rec field and from the town garage. I believe we placed them at Billings Lake, trying to keep the number of cars down there to a minimum. It was all, Deep gave us the map on where to place them, and they worked well with us to get that done. I know that the speed humps that had been taken off got put back on with the double face tape and bolts. So hopefully no one's been taking those off and throw them in the woods like they were in the past. On the village side, what's happened is last night's Board of Selectmen meeting, after 3 years, the Board of Selectmen finally voted to approve 4 speed humps to go in the village starting, actually starting as soon as we can get them to start. There'll be 2 on, there's 2 sides of Main. I don't know if you call it Upper Main or Lower, but the top over near Wheel Library, I'd say that's Upper Main, there's 2 there. And there's gonna be 2 on the other side of Main Street where the Baptist Church is, coming in from the Red Onion. We're gonna do these 4 speed humps for now, and then meet in the spring and decide whether this was a mistake or whether it was a great move to make. We'll talk about sign pollution because there's gonna have to be signage that goes with these speed humps. We'll see if they actually do the job. I'm gonna take the speed sign that's on, right now it's on Main Street, up when you're coming from Red Onion. I'm gonna move that over to Rocky Hollow. Since we're not putting speed humps on the Rocky Hollow now, we'll move that there for now. It typically does slow down traffic a bit for a while. But as the state told us when we put these signs up, once you get to about 2 or 3 months of the sign being there, people stop looking at it. It's something new when they first see it, but after 2 months, they ignore it. So it's time to move that sign anyway. So we'll do that. And I guess that's pretty much where we are with the updates with the selectmen. I can't, Steve, I can't hear you. I think you're muted. Are you, or?
I was, yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. Billings Lake is next. We heard a little bit of update on that. I was actually up there a couple weeks ago after we had talked about the rocks and all. Somebody parked in a non-parking spot. They're also swimming up there too, but there's only 3 or 4 people. Problem now, there's what, like 6, 8 spots only be able to park up there. So it makes it difficult for people to go up there and do anything, but.
Yeah, they park in the trailer slots, but they do
Yeah.
like 3 cars deep, which,
Mhm.
okay, but again, you know, there's the boaters, some boaters can't even park there because because cars are parking there. So unfortunately, I think it's only gonna get better if we're just constantly ticketing, but I know we can't because we don't have the resources to keep going down there, but it needs to get out to the folks that go there that they'll be ticketed, because once they know they'll be ticketed, they won't go there anymore. I'm happy to sit down there and ticket people. Are you on mute, Bob?
Yeah, I was just guilty of what I just. So, speaking with Deep, they did say they were gonna send officers down there that do have ticketing power on a more regular basis, and I agree with you. That's the only way it's gonna stop is by people constantly getting tickets. So, I will speak to the representative from Steep that we were working with before, Yolanda, I think her name is, and see if they've been down there recently and if they have any plans to go down. She told me they're so understaffed and there's so many problems along the southeastern part of Connecticut that they're bouncing from location to location at this point.
I think though, what they're doing is just kicking people out, but not actually ticketing. So,
Well, I'll ask her about that.
yeah. But, you know, there are people who are still speeding, but I don't know what else you're gonna do besides, you know, they speed between the speed bumps, but, it's just kind of what it is. We implemented what we could implement.
Do we know if this speeding is being done mostly by out of towners or is it local residents that
It's a lot of Rhode Islanders.
is that?
And it's a lot of like, you know, younger, you know, 20-year-olds. Like I went for a walk on Sunday, which was very hot. And I passed just walking down Billings, probably about 20 cars.
And a lot of Rhode Island plates. Maybe, you know, as they close, maybe because they're being tougher down at Beach Pond, both on both sides, the Rhode Island side and the Connecticut side. Possibly they're looking for the next best place, right? And we're probably the closest to Beach Pond.
Go to Green Falls.
Can you maybe put some direction arrows out and say Green Falls that way?
Yeah, exactly. But I haven't heard of you know, there was a lot of like the fighting and the swearing at the people in our neighborhood, and that haven't heard. Our neighbors have not complained that a lot of that's been happening. So
That's good.
I think it's okay for now.
On the topic of Billings Lake, one of the residents up on the Legendwood Road intersection where we had added stop signs had brought up that people are not stopping for those stop signs because there's no markings on them to show that it was a town installed stop sign.
Who else would install a stop sign?
Anybody could install a stop sign. How do you know that it's actually been installed by the town or the state of Connecticut unless there's a marking on it? Like in Groton, there's signs, stickers on the signs that are saying per order of traffic authority. And the state signs have an STC marking on them to show that they've been installed by the state of Connecticut.
Trooper McCarthy, can you comment on that? Because I don't recall seeing that on any stop signs in our town.
As I'm mute. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. But usually, if they're installed, it's a STC, which is the State Traffic Commission sign. So it says it in white lettering on the bottom. So, but I haven't heard of anything. You'd be able to tell if someone installed the sign. I just also wanted to say that, Britt, you are right. There hasn't been any of those issues with fighting or large groups gathering up there. And the reason that the parking lot is so small is because Deep thought that with the parking spots, if there's only 10 spots or 9 spots, that's all that should be down there. And so I guess there are some good things, but I also think the residents need to call the barracks because the barracks hasn't been getting the calls to go up there. So I had a resident call me last night. He said someone was driving around on motorcycles. And I said, you know, you need to call. So, but I ended up calling the trooper on, but we're not getting the calls like we used to 2 years ago that all the fightings every night, the large gatherings, people drinking. I'm sure they're still doing it, but you know, we're doing the best that we can from our point. Also, I'm sorry. I also sat in the borough yesterday. I try to sit down there as much as I can. A lot of the speeds, the cars are going 23, 24, 25. You know, I definitely seen a decrease in the speed. So that has helped out having the traffic signs and also having myself and the other troopers sit out there.
Yeah, on Lori's comment, actually, he sent me the comment on the signs, and actually, when I was driving around the last few days, I went through North Stonington, Lisbon, Voluntown, and Griswold, and I get guaranteed over 95% of signs have no marking that they're up for anybody else. So if we're in violation, everybody is, including the state. So I think we need to at least know if that's a retroactive thing or it's after a certain date. Even state signs that were put up in the last few years aren't marked, I saw. So
And only somebody that's in the field knows that. And the person that's called from Cedars is a retired police officer.
Yeah, I worked with him. I've been a cop in Groton for 23 years, and we're not allowed to enforce stop signs that don't have the STC or the Town of Groton Traffic Authority sticker on them.
we got a lot of problems. I'm going to go, when I leave here to go to Walmart, I'm going to blow every stop sign there is.
I know.
Well, you could
Everyone's-
probably fight it in court because it's not an approved stop sign if there's nothing on it.
Yes, that's something that, if that's the case, which I'm not saying it isn't, we need to, I guess, Bob and those guys need to work on that to start putting stickers out.
But I don't think the reason why people are not stopping at that particular stop sign is because there's not a 3 letters on there. It's because they just don't stop. And again, no, the lay person doesn't know that is a true stop sign because it has the letters on it. It's because Don knows the rules.
So Lori, where's that stop sign exactly? So I can go take a look at
It's
it.
the ones that we had installed on Legendwood at I'm not sure, I can't remember the name of the road that it intersects with.
Cedars.
I think, yeah, Cedars.
It's
I was just
Cedars.
up there the other week too.
3 there, Bob.
All right, thank you.
But again, if that's an issue, which it appears to be, at least for me driving around, then that's something that the selectmen and the highway department need to look at. Bunch of stickers that's BOS or something on them, because none of them are marked. And even the state, they're not marked.
Well, you could not have a stop sign if you have just a stop bar there and you violate the stop bar, you can still get a ticket for it and you still get a fine for it. So as far as the lettering, we can put it on there, but even with just a stop bar, if you run a stop bar, which is the white line on the ground, you can still get a ticket for failure to obey SDC or stop sign.
Anything else on billings? Item 6 is we got a request for possibly making part of Main Street and part of Rocky Hollow Road a one-way road. So Marilyn Mackey's on. I saw her. Is she still on? Yep. So she can talk about that request. If you can unmute Marilyn and let her speak.
Thank you for allowing me to participate today. I moved in 3 weeks ago on Main Street between Route 2 and Town Hall. And I must say, in all fairness to circumstances, the fare was in effect. So I'm sure it was worse than it is normally. But I could not believe, 1, the speed, and 2, the volume of traffic that was going through town, and all hours of the day and night, which that was the major surprise. The bulk, I would say, probably during the week was early in the morning, people going to work and then coming back from work. I also have a dog that I have to walk on a leash, and trying to walk either Rocky Hollow with 2-way traffic on that and Main Street. I don't know if there's a designation, is it East Main or the portion that is east of Town Hall. So there really is nowhere to walk safely and comfortably without really being on your toes. So it occurred to me that from the standpoint of traffic, volume could be eliminated on both those roads if you had each one going one way, at least all at the same time. One of the things that was brought up by our chairman is that having the firehouse going when they have to go up Wyassa having it go the opposite direction would not be safe. And it would take extra time at a point of an emergency for people to have to go around. Someone pointed out to me that if we're using only half the road for vehicles, if there were signs there that in an emergency, the fire trucks would be coming down the other way, that might solve the problem in an emergency, that they could just use the pedestrian route. It's part of the road. But the thought being also that when you go out on Main Street, you also have issues trying to make a left turn. So it just seemed, in my mind, sensible to make it inbound on Main Street and outbound on Rocky Hollow. The only legitimate complaint that I heard, except people, it's going to take them a minute or two more to have to go around because of a one-way vehicular situation, was the fire, in case of fire, that they would make better time coming in on Rocky Hollow. I can't guarantee it would reduce numbers, but I think it would make it far more pleasant and easier for people who do want to walk or use it for bikes also. But I couldn't come up with any other ideas as to how to work traffic to reduce it and make it a little more efficient than possibly doing the one-ways. And that's why I put it forward to see if there was a possibility to try it and see how it worked.
Thank you. Any comments? Questions?
So I'll make a comment. See, so yesterday the word must have been got out about this meeting this morning because I had 3 phone calls and a visit from people in the village who are adamantly against going to a one-way system. I also got a call from the Baptist Church, adamantly opposed to this one-way idea. As far as traffic, the amount of traffic, you know, there's more cars on the road now than when the village was built, obviously. It was built when it was horse and buggies. I think that when we have the speed humps put in, which would help reduce speed, and then eventually maybe we'll have them on Rocky Hollow and Wyosop also. I think that'll solve one of the problems. I don't know how, when you've got, as you said, Marilyn, you moved in 3 weeks ago when the fair was here. It's tough to judge things. That's probably the busiest time in the village when there's something big's going on the other side of the village, and there's nothing bigger than the fair. So when I saw bumper to bumper traffic, I worked at the fair and I saw bumper to bumper traffic all the way down from the entrance of the fair all the way past the brewery. So it's tough to mitigate that. Once in a while, when Jonathan Edwards has something going on at the winery, there's traffic then, you know, if it's a busy weekend or a wedding. I just think it's unfortunately, there's where we are today. To do a one-way road, you said that one thing was the firehouse. I don't know how you would have, so there's the fire, the siren goes off, the alarm goes off, the fire trucks are coming the wrong way on a one-way street, in this case, Rocky Hollow. How are those cars that are going the other way on Rocky Hollow? No. And now if you get used to work driving on the middle of the road, now here's a fire truck coming at you that you didn't expect because they're going the wrong way. So I don't think that solution of having, well, if there's a fire, then we can send the trucks the wrong way on that street. I don't think that seems very dangerous to me.
Well, I'm thinking they would use the pedestrian part of the road, that because people on just walking can easily step back off the road.
Right, so you're claiming not only one way, but put in a pedestrian lane? Is that what you're claiming?
Yeah, the portion of the road that would not be vehicular anymore could be designated for people walking or biking.
So you're driving up the road, there's a pedestrian lane to your right, you're driving on the road where the automobile would be, and here comes a fire truck coming on that same side of the road toward you. Now you're going to veer off into the pedestrian lane. Is that what you're saying you would do?
No, I'm saying that the fire truck would come down the pedestrian lane.
And then if there's pedestrians in the pedestrian lane? Like
Well, I mean, it's easy to,
walking your dog.
if you're walking, you can be off the road very quickly. it's not like a car that has to find space for that width. It's just a person or people that can move, or just do it the other way around. Just keep the inbound where the fire station is on Rocky Hollow Road and go outbound on Main Street. The only reason I suggested the other way around is because I find that a very awkward left turn when you're coming out on Main Street onto Route 2. But it's being done now, and obviously, fortunately, we haven't had any real accidents to my knowledge.
So the only thing I could say, Marilyn, is of the 5 comments I had, the 3 calls, the walk-in visit, and then the contact from the church, I haven't had a comment that was in favor of this idea. Everything's been negative. So have you talked to other residents in the village that said this is an idea that makes sense and we want to do this? Or?
The ones other than the people that what you're saying, the comments I've gotten is the only way we'll know is by trying it and
Right.
see if it
So-
reduces.
So why don't we try what we've already been approved, which is the speed humps, which was 3 years in the making. And that was actually, we had a survey done by one of the people, we didn't do it, the village did a survey, and we had about an 85% return in favor of the speed humps.
Yep.
Took 3 years to get them in, but now they're finally being approved. So wouldn't it make sense to say, let's try that first and then go from there? And rather than, I mean, we could also drop the speed limit to 15 miles an hour. We could put more signage. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do, but it's been right now, it's almost been a progression. So I think we went to the speed humps now, which has been approved, see how that works, and then gather again in the spring and say, okay, this is where we are. I mean, we might be told by the residents that we want the speed humps taken out in the spring because they don't work, or they don't like the amount of signage that came with them. So I know this is a village issue at this point. It's not a town-wide issue. But as you said, traffic is also heaviest when people are coming and going to work. I mean, that's when people use the road. I mean, we have a lot of residents that live on Babcock and Chester, Maine and Wyosop, and when they're coming down to go to work, if they're going on Route 2 toward 95, that's the way they're gonna go. So anyway, my opinion is to not go in this direction at this particular time and see what results we get from the speed humps that are gonna be going in.
Yeah, I think probably the greatest offenders are the motorcycles. Noise, speed, couldn't care less. And the very large trucks, which amazes me. Most of them are trucks that are carrying something behind them with equipment. It's a combination of noise, and it sounds like somebody's going to crash. Again, being new to the area, I was not expecting it. So I guess that was, you get used to almost anything. Obviously, people live in noisier places than here. But yeah, I'm putting it on hold and see if the speed issue does solve it. I'm not sure it will, because with time, you're going to have even more cars coming through. And these roads, as you said, were not built for this kind of traffic. So again, being made aware of the issue, is there a way of thinking about it? What else can be done to drop I mean, there's nowhere else to go. You have 3 roads. You have the one further down near the library and so on. They would get the bulk of dissatisfaction if we tried to make these 2 roads one way, because probably others would, oh, I can't remember which goes which way, I'll just go that way. Selfishly, I would like, but I don't think the people living there would be very happy. But I don't know what other options there are, is I guess what I'm saying.
So you also have Trolley Lane to think about too. Those residents who live on Trolley Lane, not just Main Street.
There are four houses. One is empty at this point, so basically 3 residents that use that. Yeah, and they are affected, no question.
Excuse me, may I just add a couple of things?
Mhm.
Regarding, if somebody ever wanted to come out on in the cruiser, and they're more than welcome to come out and see what it's like. A lot of times there's vehicles as you said, man, big trucks, they sound loud, they're big, they're carrying stuff. They appear they're going a lot faster than they really are. They're probably going the speed limit. Like I said, the roads are very small, but if they ever wanted to come out, and that's for any resident, you can actually see what it's like. As far as the one-way, I don't know if that is a good idea. I haven't heard of a road being changed into a one-way, or maybe just because it's muscle memory. Someone pulls out they've been there for 30, 40 years, they pull out, then they go the wrong way. Now they have a head-on collision. I don't know how that would affect the lights, the traffic control lights. Also, you said you had that one way, then you have the service school and the church. And then I think with the one way, people, if that was to happen, people are going to realize that, hey, there's no traffic coming, so I'm going to go even faster now because I don't have to worry about oncoming traffic. So I just think, and then you have to put more signs up. That's just my opinion. And that's how I see that. And so I just wanted to add that. So, but if you ever wanted to come out on patrol, I would show you what it's like. And I think a lot of times people think cars are going fast and they're actually going the speed limit, especially in the borough because it's so small and the roads are so small and everything's on top of everything. And the motorcycles are on, the motorcycles are loud, and yes, there are people who do speed. I'm not saying that they don't, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So, and I hope that makes sense, what I had said about the one way and everything. So,
Yeah, I mean, any change, it's a change and people have to adapt to it. So there's going to be a period of time where there'll be a bit of confusion, but one would hope with enough pre-thought and putting signs up ahead of time and notifying the public that can be mitigated.
As far as the signs go, I'm worried about sign pollution when we put the speed humps in, because there's going to be, for every hump, there's probably going to be about 3 signs. One's the speed humps ahead, one at the hump itself, coming in from all the different directions. So I'm worried that, and when we get together in the spring to see if the speed humps work, the biggest pushback I may have is the town, the village doesn't look as quaint as it used to look because we have signs everywhere. So now if we want to add additional signs that say one way, the next thing we could have 40 or 50 signs in the village, which I'm sure we're going to get pushback on that from the.
Well, you wouldn't have to have it on both sides of the road if it's only one way. You'd only need it on one side. So
No, but it's still additional signs, and there's people in the village. So we look at, if you live in the village, and I don't, I work in the village, but when people think of the village, some people, it's the speeding issue. Some is the noise issue, as you just said. Some is the number of signs. Some is they'd like to have it go back to the 1940s if they could. So it's some is striping. Right now the lines in the village are not very bright because they faded, and we're looking at getting new striping done in the village. So there's a lot of people that live in the village have different ideas of what they want the village to be. But the biggest idea, in most cases, is trying to maintain the village quaintness in the way it looked back 80 to 100 years ago. And that's what we're trying to do, but we have to keep safe.
Where are the girls?
Hi, I'm
We
on
have to
it.
keep safety in mind also.
I'm on it. No problem.
I know one of the concerns from the residents, a resident in the village, was with the speed humps, and like a comment was made about the trucks going through. There's a lot of people going to and from work that drive diesel trucks. So now you're going to be going, slowing down, going over the hump, accelerating. And so they're worried about the noise, even more noise because of the deceleration and acceleration.
Well, the good news about these humps is that they're engineered that you can travel over them at the speed limit, 25 miles an hour. That's how they're built, because it's a gradual incline with a flat space and down. That's why they're not bumps, they're humps.
Yeah.
So if they go in the speed limit, they should be able to go over it without it slowing down and then speeding up. That's
Okay.
the idea. If they go over, and they have to be built a certain way with the proper signage, because if a vehicle gets damaged going over the hump, the municipality is liable for that. But if we build them the right way and have the right signage, and a vehicle gets damaged, say it bottoms out, in most cases, the courts side with the municipality saying that either that vehicle wasn't roadworthy or the vehicle was exceeding the speed limit. If they're doing the speed limit, there should be no damage to a vehicle. So hopefully there's not a lot of slowing down and speeding up. Well, I hope they're slowing down, but there wouldn't be a lot of speeding up anyway. Now, but I get your point, Brett. I understand what you're saying.
So as far as
Can you hear me?
Who's speaking?
Hello? Gary and Nino, sorry, just quick. And I got to jump onto another call because I'm at work. But I understand the new flashing speed signs record how many people are above or below the speed limits. Can we get the data on those so we understand if we really have a problem or not? I mean, well, once we know, yes, we have a speeding problem, then the speed hump discussion becomes a little less prickly in my mind, but I wasn't sure if that data is available. I'll go back on
It is
the
available and we can get it. The speed hump discussion at this point is over until the spring, as far as I'm concerned. It took 3 years to get these things approved and now they're approved. But we can get data to back up what most people, as yourself know, that live in the village, there is a speeding issue. So but we have the data, we tap into the a website that can give us that data anytime we want and I can get it for you.
So Gary, the only problem with the speed box over by you is that it picks up people coming off Route 2 as soon as they start coming off Route 2. So it might be a little high in the very beginning, but it should slow down when they get to because it doesn't tell you distance as far as their speed. It tells you speed itself when they come, when it starts to register it. So it may be a little high when they come off, but then it drops down by the time they get to it. But I have seen people go through it the way they shut it off because they want to see how fast they go.
Yeah, I think that this commission is going to need that data after the speed humps come in, because everybody that doesn't live here and experience it firsthand is going to say, that's a bunch of baloney, we don't have speeding in the village. But if you could show them that, 85% of the people coming through the village are above the speed limit, it's a way to sort of diffuse that line of thinking. I got to run, sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
And as far as the noise itself, there will be an increased noise for vehicles that are not maybe have a shock problem, or a vehicle's towing a trailer that's loud, or a roll-off truck going over those things. Even at 25, you're going to have that extra noise because now the truck is making its transfer over the hump. So you will have an increase as far as that goes.
Any other comments? Is a suggestion, I guess I heard, was we table it until our next meeting? Any action on the request until the speed humps and all are in?
I would agree that we table it. I would say we can discuss it at the next meeting, but my thought is to table it until we have the discussion in the spring, whether the speed humps are working or not, make it all one discussion. But I don't know if a month is going to give us enough information, but we can keep it on the agenda if you want for the forthcoming meetings until we decide either go forward with one-way streets or just get away with the idea.
That works for everybody else? It's going to be a building-like issue. It's going to be on every meeting, I think. Anything else on that?
Does buildings like come off in the cold weather? Do we have?
And if the problems stop or not.
It does. It's quiet in the winter.
Yeah.
But the speed bumps come out, right? So the
Yes, they
speed,
do.
but there's not as many cars going down. They're just residents at that point.
I'm not gonna lie, I like when the speed bumps come out because I drive over 100 times a day. It's annoying.
All right, move to 7 then, just so you know, on the website now, on our site, on the town site, there actually is a traffic issue form you can fill out. That's what Marilyn Mackey did. So that's why I got it and said, first I had to say, what's this? And I looked and there actually is a form. The only thing I could ask on the form, if they put an option for an email and a phone number, so we can call the people like to get them on the call for here, more additional information. But we do have a form, so anybody who wants to fill it out, it comes to me, and then I forward it along. So just so you know, it's a form for us. Any other comments, questions, concerns from the committee? Any other public comments? Did Marilyn leave? Yep, she's still there.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. Nobody else, I don't think. No public comments. If there's no other comments, well, motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See you when the next issue comes up, or quarterly.
Thank you.
Good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Here.